Hey, welcome back everyone to another Market Conversations. I am delighted. I got a really neat show lined up tonight. We are going to have Michelle O'Connor from TaxBit and formerly from Uphold. And one of the wonderful things about having Michelle is that she has spent, the last 4+ hard years, if not longer, in this digital asset space. Now, before we bring Michelle in, I wanted to open with this particular thought in mind, right? And I had this incredible conversation with one of the members of the newly formed Beyond Moon Investment Club, the Patreon group that this channel has started. And it was interesting in that I got a first-hand account of what it's like to have a SIM swap. Yes, it's a real thing and it really happens. And what it reminds me is that sometimes there are simple things that we need to incorporate to be safe, right? And after all, we're talking about our finances. We're talking about our hard-earned money. So a couple of really good tips. Don't keep apps that have links to any kind of real money on your phone. Now, case in point, I'm a Celcius network user. So occasionally I need to interact with Celcius. And the only way I'm able to do so now is through the app on my phone. So when it is time to do that kind of business, I will load the app on my phone. I will conduct my business. And when my business is over, I will again delete the app off my phone. The point being is that in today's world, the technology that's bringing and ushering in all this incredible innovation and that we, our investors, are investing into, there's just as many people trying to part us from our hard-earned money. Whether it be through scams like send me a half a Bitcoin and I'll send you a whole Bitcoin back, which I just saw one that featured me on Facebook, to people doing SIM swaps and phone cloning. The tech is there, folks, and these people are going to get very creative and ingenious around how to part you from your hard-earned investments. So, word of caution, be careful out there. And without any further ado, let me say hi real fast. Tony, good to have you. Sub God, Brady, Scorpion, XRP Joe, good to have you. Pete Kelly, great to see you. Simon, good to have you here, man. D Precise, good to have you in the house. I know Lori's lurking in the background. I would like to now just take a quick minute to introduce and bring in Michelle. I don't want her to blush on camera, so I'm going to say this before she comes in. I met Michelle about 1.5 years ago when I just started launching a channel and I wanted to get insights. Michelle was always very courteous and very active in Twitter. She was then working for Uphold, and I always had questions, and she was always so gracious in her responses. And she just elected to come and share with me on my channel some of her experiences. Now, what's really neat about Michelle is coming out of college, she got into social media in a way where it wasn't something she was doing necessarily for fun. It was something she was doing to monetize. And through that process, taught herself to be a marketing princess. I was going to say stud, but that doesn't necessarily apply to a lady like Michelle. But she's really good at what she does. And she parlayed that into an extremely wonderful career with one of my favorite exchanges, Uphold. She's now currently with TaxBit, my favorite by far place to go deal with all my crypto 1099 issues and what I would consider asset optimization tools. I'm going to let her explain that in more detail. So let's welcome in Michelle from TaxBit. Hey, Michelle. Your mic is muted.
I was muted. How's it going?
It's going really good. I'm glad that you could come on the show tonight. And it looks like you've got your princess with you tonight.
I do. She's helping me. Oh, are you going to say hello? No.
Maybe she's a little shy.
Yeah. The market was tough today.
I can well, it looks like it's rebounding pretty well. That's at least one thing she doesn't get from you. You are not shy.
How's it going? Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. You know what? It's going really well. I've been really blessed with this channel in that all these incredible guests that I've got to interview or feature in my Beyond Moon series or even have come onto my live stream, each and every one of you in some way imparts some kind of wisdom or some knowledge, and that makes me a better investor. And here we are 3 years later into my crypto journey, and I'm pretty savvy. I'm not saying I'm there yet. I'm no Raoul Pal, but I'm getting to the place where I am seeing more clearly the market and therefore making better decisions, which produce better outcomes. And when you're talking about money, producing better outcomes usually translates into a larger portfolio. And for all those things, I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah.
So what about you? What's shaking with you? I mean, you've been with TaxBit for a bit now. And how about, before we get into TaxBit or any questions about Uphold, I never asked you this directly. Are you also a crypto investor?
Of course.
Let's talk about that.
I have to practice what I preach.
Well, let's talk about that. What do you see the difference between Michelle, the early crypto investor, and Michelle now, the lady who's been through Uphold and is now with TaxBit and has just been in the trenches for the last X amount of years? What's the biggest difference between you when you got here and you now as an investor?
That's a good question. I would say now, me as an investor, probably because I have 2 kids, I'm a little bit more conservative. When I entered into this world, I had no kids. So I was a little bit more able or less conservative with my spending or investments. But back then it was a lot cheaper. So I wish I would have put more in the market.
Sure.
The me now wishes the me then would put more into the market. I think overall, it's been really interesting to see the market go up and down a few times. And watching this last bull run has been nice to see that some of the retail investors and the larger people coming into this space to really give us a chance to see if we can keep the traction and keep it moving.
Oh, that has definitely been, I'll tell you, the institutional involvement in 2020 definitely is what we needed. I mean, you were there the whole way. I had 2.5 years of, oh my goodness, all I see is promise, yet we can't seem to get out of this $300 billion market cap range. Will we ever do it? You hear the institutions are coming. It's like Paul Revere telling us the redcoats are coming, yet the redcoats never come. And you're like, oh man, come on. But yeah, it's starting to happen in a really big way. Let me ask you this, because you've seen the onset of some of these, what I would call Ancillary type platforms, Nexo, BlockFi, Celcius Network, etc. I will tell you, in my opinion, as much as I love the fact that more people are coming and putting money on these monetary networks, increasing the value of the networks, having these Ancillary sites where I can, regardless of the market going up and down, receive interest in the underlying asset, to me, that really has been, for me, the game changer over when I got here to where I am now. And I was curious, do you have a thought or opinion on any of these secondary ancillary type platforms that are leveraging crypto, both on a borrowing and lending type perspective?
I think it's really interesting, and it's really helping jump the rails to mainstream, because just like you said, I mean, right now in traditional banks, there's no return on investment anyway. There's no interest rate really. So anything that you can get above zero is a net positive. As these companies mature and evolve, and have been in the space for a few years, I think it's more promising and more exciting. What BlockFi is doing in this space is really impressive. We work closely with them with TaxBit, so I'm more familiar with their product because I just work with the team closer. I use it to make sure that our product is integrating well. So that's who I've really been watching in the space for a while, and I think they're doing really cool things to help possibly traditional mainstream come in and say, okay, I can get a return. I'm going to park my money here, and I feel comfortable doing that. I think it's only going to keep evolving as this store of value continues to be a more mainstream asset.
Well, there's certainly no shortage of media awareness, right? I mean, you can't swing a dead cat without catching a Squawk Box, Fast Money, you name it, on one of these Bloomberg or CNBC type shows and not see some talk about Bitcoin. I mean, I remember I tuned in and I was watching the commentator or the news person question the the CEO of GM. So are you guys going to be putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet? We're talking one of the oldest auto manufacturers in the country, right? Are you guys going to put Bitcoin on your balance sheet? You would have never heard that a year ago.
Right.
It would have never been a question posed to them. So let's transition into a couple of things. One thing, and this has nothing, this isn't directed at you, but I will tell you one of the biggest gripes I have about exchanges, and it doesn't matter, Binance, Uphold, Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, it doesn't matter. For whatever reason, the customer service is like the last thought. At least that's what it appears like to me. Now, you're no longer with Uphold. You were with Uphold. What is the deal that customer service isn't one of the first and foremost things being brought to the space, especially considering it's all these new people that are crypto illiterate coming to the space? What is the thinking of the brain trusts of places to not go after making it user, having really good customer service, like 800 numbers and concierge and things of that nature?
I think it's challenging from my experience perspective at Uphold. It was challenging because frankly, the demand versus the supply just outweighed itself, and the need for round the clock support and the need for really people who are savvy who can be customer obsessed, but also provide support and answer questions without giving financial advice. Because there's people asking questions, but then you always have, can you stop? You have to walk the fine line of not telling someone what they can invest in when they're asking how to do something, or if they're asking if this is safe, or if they're asking if they should be doing it. So it's a really fine line to walk. I definitely think there's room for improvement. And I myself have used one or two of the exchanges that you mentioned and been locked out for more than a week because I couldn't access my account. So I share that pain and empathize that it's really frustrating. Well, but I think that's where if you look at TaxBit, they have built, and I can't take credit for this because this was before I came, they have built an amazing support team, and they are dealing with, it's taxes. So people are frustrated. They don't understand. They are overwhelmed. They might have received the CP 2000 and they're thinking the IRS is going to knock down the door and audit them. And they deliver just outstanding support. So it's not an exchange, but I'm really proud of what they've done. And like I said, can't take credit for it, but I'm hoping we can build upon that.
Well, I hope the industry looks to TaxBit and what you guys have been doing with your customer service. I will tell you, having been in the space for 3 years and dealt with many entities, TaxBit is, well, they're top of class, right? They're the leader in the pack as it pertains to a quality product combined with an actual team of people that are right there to help. And it's not just on email, right? It's live chat, it's phone.
Yeah, there's live chat.
It's Twitter. One of the most engaging Twitter entities that come from the companies that are involved in the crypto space. TaxBit's got a great Twitter entity. I don't know who does, if that's part of your department, who does that. They do a really good job. I'd say it's you. Oh, okay. Well, no wonder. I mean, you've always been, but between LinkedIn, Twitter, I don't see much of your presence on Facebook. And I don't know if that's important or if that's a target platform you're going to go after. But LinkedIn for sure, Twitter for sure. I don't know how much of the other ones you're going to dive into, like Facebook or Instagram or any of those kind of things. But you guys are definitely leading the pack. Hey guys, there's Brady. If I'm missing questions, I've been just looking at the screen. I haven't been looking at the questions. Oh, here's a good question from Simon. He puts up. Here's a good question. What are we meant to do? The price of BTC is dropping. If I sell it and I have to pay 50% something and wouldn't be able to put back, it seems like a bum deal. I wish I knew what CGT means. Capital gains.
Simon's, oh yeah, okay. So essentially what it looks at, so company plug first and then I'll answer the question. So if you have a TaxBit account, you're able to leverage the tax loss optimizer. So it will tell you in real time what your tax liability is. So if you bought and you're going to realize a gain, so you know you're going to owe taxes, you can make that decision strategically. Is what you're going to earn more than what your liability will be? If it is, then you can go ahead and say, okay, this is a win-win. I'm going to go ahead and sell. But what's cool about crypto is it doesn't have the wash loss rule. So you can go ahead and buy it back right away. You sell it, realize, and buy back, and you're back to hodling, and you've also made some money. So it's interesting to do while this market kind of fluctuates a little bit more. It's more exciting. We're seeing a lot more of that traffic between the optimizer because it clicks through to a lot of the exchanges, and people are really using it as a tool to navigate and understand how they can make those real-time quick decisions and not get surprised at the end of the year with taxes.
Well, I'll tell you, I dabble, right? I would not consider myself a trader per se. I'm not. I'm an investor. However, there have been some opportunities where I have sold an asset for a specific purpose and strategically re-entered the market, some with that asset and some of the profit into another asset in part of my, mad scientist master plan. And the TaxBit optimizer is beneficial to me because it lets me know exactly like what you were saying, where I'm at. See, half the game in crypto, at least before this utilization of TaxBit, was the record keeping to try to understand really where I am at, because I don't like to make decisions based off of stuff that's on the back of an envelope. I'm just kind of jotting down. Oh, well, you laugh, but that's how it was before TaxBit. And what's interesting is that none of these other guys that are in this crypto tax game have followed your guys' lead. I would think that you'd be imitated all over the place. You guys are really the only ones with any kind of sophistication in your tax optimization tool.
Yeah, we are. It's really a differentiator.
Yeah, you are.
It's also a benefit that we hope and know. It's something that we envisioned. There's more versions of iterations of this coming in the next probably 3 to 6 weeks that will take it a step further.
Well, I think that's great. For any of you viewers, by any chance that you're not using TaxBit and have considered going outside of your own record keeping to address your taxes with as it pertains to crypto, I know that you can get a 14-day free trial. And there's a link in the description of this video. It's the first one in my affiliates list. Hit the Beyond Moon, use the Beyond Moon code in the link, and bada bing, bada boom, get your 14-day free trial. Give it a shot. Check it out. If you don't like it, that's cool. Leave a negative comment in the thing. Maybe it's something we can improve upon. If you do like it, leave a comment in the thing. People, it's one of the things that I've found is that people that I tune into, influencers or whatever you want to call us, that I trust and have developed consistency over the years, when they say something like that, you kind of go, oh, okay. So I'm not just pitching TaxBit because I like Michelle. I pitch TaxBit because I love it and it's become a necessary part of my journey, right? I'm building wealth, and part of building wealth is understanding my tax liability and where I can avoid it and where I can't. And that's the key. Any other questions? Come on, Brady, throw some stuff on the screen here. What do we got? I can say hi to Crypto Cajun. I want to say hello to 7th DM and, of course, Heirloom Heritage. Good to have you. J-Par, always nice to see you, young man. XRP Joe. Let's see. What do we got? Joe, did you have a question here? Oh, thank you. Kind words, Joe. All right. Let's do this, Michelle. What does a normal day look like for Michelle? Because crypto's 24/7 and it's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Walk me through a day in the life.
Normal is abnormal. Well, especially now because I'm building out the team. So it's me doing a lot right now. And I have 2 kids. So it's mornings, kids, and that time is really precious to me. So I wake up early to check social and stuff like that, and emails and see if there's anything I have to deal with. And during the morning window, it's me with the girls, and one goes to preschool and then the others, at home. And then I'm in it. I'm looking at how we're going to launch, how we're messaging. I'm launching an entire educational portal that will help people understand not only about taxes, but make them feel safe about cryptocurrency and help them understand what these different things mean, what the DeFi and NFTs and all of these things that are launching that are just really intimidating, but a lot of people are talking to them. So they are making safe decisions, or at least they're making informed decisions if they want to take risks and some of the riskier aspects. So my days every day is different. I spend a lot of time engaging with community. If people have issues with the platform, or if I notice people that have canceled, I actually reach out to them personally and talk with them because I want to understand why. And I'm building out our social. So I'm very active on Twitter and Reddit and LinkedIn because that's where I feel like a lot of our group is, and continue to engage more there while also creating, emails and strategy and everything we're doing. It's a moving target every day.
Well, you've got, especially here with TaxBit. So it's not just capital gains, short or long. It's not just optimizing tools for maybe if you had to sell something, hey guys, look at this versus that. All that's wonderful. You've got borrowing and lending come to crypto. So there are people who are now no longer participating in capital gains or capital losses. What they're participating in is what we call interest dividend income, which is now all of a sudden has nothing to do, quote unquote, with investing. It has 100% to do with income tax, which is a completely different genre within tax, right? Mm-hmm. There are people that may never experience a capital gain or capital loss because all they do is receive a passive income flow of interest on their crypto, i.e. making it interest dividend income, which in and by itself doesn't mean a lot until you put it up to your particular income bracket. And knowing these things, I mean, it's convoluted. It can be crazy. And you guys have addressed it wonderfully. Do you have a minute to take a couple questions? Can we throw a couple out here? Because all right. Thank you. Michelle, wondering what happens when the exchanges start to provide 1099 to their customers. Do you see CPAs flooding the space to become more competitive to TaxBit?
So most exchanges, well, they have to provide forms. So that's already happening, or it should be. And if it's not, and your exchange didn't provide you a form, it either got lost in the mail or there's a few years and then it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. So I don't see it as CPAs flooding the market. There are definitely people that enter and think they can navigate, but this is a space that is non-traditional. It's a space where you can't just have CPA and assume you can navigate the nuanced and complicated, ever moving and changing world of cryptocurrency. But also, to double down on that, the difference for us is our co-founder, Justin, who was on your show, is a lawyer who has been working in cryptocurrency since he was, early days prior to when I got into crypto. He has led the vision of the product and what we're doing. So that's not something you can just jump in now that it's trendy and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do this too. I think also through our partnerships and products and who we have investing in us, PayPal, Coinbase Ventures, et cetera, that says something not only to the industry, but to hopefully consumers as well as a vote of confidence.
It's absolutely a huge vote of confidence. And when you guys get on Link2, I will most likely become an investor myself. That is how strongly I feel about your product and where you're going.
Did Kareem ask you to do that?
No, I came up with that one all by myself.
Love it.
Scorpion asks, how does TaxBit track your transactions? This may be too general. It's actually a great question. Fire away, Michelle.
Yeah, no, great question. So we connect via API to majority of the wallets exchanges that are out there. There's a handful that we aren't connected to yet. We have an entire team that literally that's their job. They continue the connections as new players come into the space or we get requests. So it's just you tap and you connect, and then in real time your data is pulling in. There are a few where there's a tax center where if you go to the platform, you can then connect and see via the platform. But I love the TaxBit dashboard because I can see all of my holdings in one dashboard. So regardless of what wallet or exchange it's on, I go into TaxBit, I can see everything I'm holding. I don't have to do a bunch of different passwords and things like that. So I can see what my portfolio is doing in real time. There are some instances where for tax purposes, if you get a CSV, you upload that to the TaxBit. There are some that aren't transposing correctly or people have had problems that I've seen or I've spoken to. So that's where our support team steps in. They will populate all of that data and make sure that it's accurate and compliant. So it's really an easy way to say, here's this terribly confusing form. I'm going to hand it over to TaxBit and then wait for my 8949 and give it with my tax filing.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know, no, I don't hear anybody talking about this, but the little gem that I discovered about TaxBit, because for me, my crypto investments have been sporadic, right? Some here, some there, not always in the same assets, different times, different prices, different amounts, all that stuff. I think about a year into it, I misplaced and lost my log. And it threw me off,
no.
and I stopped doing it for a while. And then it came down to do some actual work, and I did not know what my average cost per token was. Dun, 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 dun. And I'll tell you, one of the wonderful little things about TaxBit is all you got to know is, and TaxBit tracks it all because they get every piece of data, because I don't know if this is dumb luck. I only use exchanges that TaxBit is working with.
There you go.
It's not like I have a lot. I've got a handful, 5. And you guys have connected to every one of them. So I can go back not only this year, right?
Yep.
Not only this year, I can go back to my start date, and you guys will pull all that data forward.
Yep, absolutely.
How friggin' cool is that? That it's not just right now. It's as far back
Right.
as the exchange has got the data.
And where that's important to come in is, unfortunately, because there were some exchanges that issued the wrong forms. There were some folks that didn't know they needed to file taxes, and the IRS is like 2 years in arrears. So you get that whammy letter from, what are we, 2018, 2019.
Whammy letter.
We are able to go back and help you collect that with accurate data. So we've seen a lot of that. Unfortunate for folks, but fortunately we're able to help that rather quickly. And also quite a few people have discovered that instead of owing to the IRS actually owes them. So that's been a great upside.
TaxBit for the win. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Crypto Kahana. Hey, mahalo, mi amigo. Good to have you. JV, good to have you in the house. I got a few questions here, Michelle. I'm having a very hard time discerning them because this thing is moving so quickly. I've got one here. I'm trying to find it. It's the who is your competition? Who is your competition and why are you better than them? It was the question. I'm trying to find it. Brady, help.
Sure.
Thanks, Ray.
I don't really consider that we have direct competition between our partners and our integrations. It's a key differentiator. And if you look at the tax optimizer too, as well as having CPAs and tax lawyers on staff year round as co-founders, it's really something where if you're going to look at who do you want to use, you want the person who, let's say in September, you get an IRS letter and you can go and say, hey guys, help. And there's a CPA or tax lawyer who's going to be there to help you. That's who you really want. And that's who built our company.
That is so cool. So check this out, Michelle. JV says, I just did my crypto taxes for the first time. I had over 13,000 transactions. TaxBit took less than a minute to have all that data.
Smash.
Bang! Hello.
Yeah.
Talk about digital. I mean, digital is fast. I mean, results get produced. How cool is that?
I hope that was a positive minute or less result. Whatever the calculation came back, JV, I hope it came back positive.
Here's a great one for Charles. Hey, Charles, thanks for submitting your question. If all you're doing is buying and holding, is there any disclosure claim to make to your CPA this tax year?
Yes. 2020, you are asked, and I'm going to blunder the words. Basically, the IRS asks if you purchased or had anything to do with crypto taxes. There's a blog post that I'll share with you, Jerry, that gives the actual terminology that is said. But when you fill out forms this year, you're going to be asked if you had any interaction with cryptocurrency. But that doesn't mean that you have liabilities if you didn't buy or sell. So if there was no trading and you literally just had whatever your assets were and you didn't move them, you didn't trade them, you didn't sell them, you shouldn't be required to file.
That is very important. And so, I mean, here's a conspiracy theorist thread that I've seen, and I'm sure because of the nature of it, you guys have heard it. And that is the possibility of being taxed on unrealized gains. Being taxed on unrealized gains. Have you heard that little proposal being thrown around?
There's so much out there. I mean, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, so I see there's a lot out there. I am not the tax lawyer or tax expert, so this is where I kind of have to put up my hands and say I don't know one way or another, but I would imagine, in my non-expert opinion, that if that were to come to fruition, it would probably meet a lot of pushback, much like there was when that wallet identity and having to KYC over X amount got a lot of pushback, and that's kind of now back in the rigmarole. I think that the industry in general would push back hard on that.
Oh, I'd push back hard. I'd move out of the United States.
Yep.
Well, I kind of already did. How about this? I won't come back to the United States if they do that. All right, here we go. The retroactive tax idea needs to be brought out back behind the barn. Yeah, shoot that one. So, hey, Michelle, let me ask you this. With the back to this whole in the crypto space, besides TaxBit, customer service seems to be the ugly stepchild of the business model. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get in trouble or disclose anything you shouldn't, but you were a key member of the quote unquote marketing team at Uphold when it went from basically, hey, you could buy some gold, to all of a sudden being a real player in the US as it pertains to a crypto exchange. You grew with it. So what is you think it's a cost thing? You think it's we would need to spend X on manpower, training, etc., and we just don't have it in our budget to do that? Is that the deal? Because margins are so slim, or you're not making billions of dollars per year?
I think part of it is, if you look at, and I have a very non-traditional look, so I'll tell my theory, but then I'll explain my view on it all. So I think if you look at customer support, even though we're not traditional finance, we're finance adjacent. And if you look at most banks or really anything with finance, there's very few that have good customer support across the board, because it's a touchy subject. You're dealing with people's money. Usually you only contact customer support if something negative happened. You don't contact customer support and be like, you're the best ever, and I'm just so happy, and I'm telling you this because I love it. So normally there's already contention. And then if you take that, customer support, because this is finance, has to follow certain steps. They can't, for compliance reasons, fix something without confirming it first. So there's this kind of tricky position between being non-finance, but you're still regulated by the legacy finance rules and bodies that can make sure that things are safe and people are doing the right thing. So I think there will be an evolution of that when regulation and compliance catch up with the speed of the industry, but also with education and understanding, because there's a problem that I think can be solved. And I did it a lot with the Uphold community, and I'm already doing with the TaxBit community. It's just being engaged in answering questions. I was on the Uphold social a lot and answering questions, or my handle a lot answering questions. And by doing that, you then build trust. You and I got to know each other. You would answer questions for me that I wouldn't even see. And that network effect of community is what I think a lot of people don't put enough value and emphasis in. For me, I am only as good as our community. And if our community doesn't feel supported or understood, then I'm not doing my job.
Well said. Thank you for that. One of the things that I have considered, or at least it appears to me from where I'm sitting, that I would imagine if I had to ballpark it, I'd probably say 80% of all the customer service interactions where customers are emailing a platform doesn't have anything to do with a problem. It's a lack of education or understanding the platform. When you do this happens. How this is, I saw this advertised, I want to do it. I'm on your platform, I can't figure it out.
Right.
I consider all those kind of things education, where if I were let's say I was the CEO of a very progressive, let's say an exchange that wanted to reach outside of the United States. Well, I would have educational videos in the languages of the countries that I'm trying to enter. So if I was Uphold and I want to make a presence in Latin America, I would have Spanish speaking reps making educational videos. I don't see how expensive that could be.
They are. There are.
Yet they are doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, forgive me. I apologize. Lo siento.
when Uphold launched the equities in Latin America, that was when there was a real push in Latin America. And with the new Uphold, there's educational content in Spanish on their YouTube.
I apologize.
JP speaks Spanish, so.
I know. That's one of the things I thought was so crazy. You know, I pitched you that idea for Crypto Espanol, all about that kind of thing. It never went anywhere. Nobody wanted to even address it. It cost money. Forget it. Screw it. But if they did that, then I take all those things I said, I take back. I apologize. All right, let's see what we got here. What if, here we go. F's got a good one, or sorry, E. What if you send crypto to the wrong address by accident? It was up to 1,000 and on a $200 investment. When I lost it, well, I need to claim an $800 short-term capital gains.
So that's
ouch.
That's one that I would have to hand off to our tax experts, because I have my assumption, but my assumption is not legal opinion.
Right.
So DM us that and I'll get the answer for you.
And that's that little thing. You guys, you do this, Michelle. You did it when you were Uphold. You're doing it with TaxBit. Hey, if I don't have the answer now, DM me. We'll get to it. I love that. You don't have to know everything right this second, but you're the kind of committed woman who will find out. I love that.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Exactly. How are taxes determined on a new and unregulated crypto asset? Is it even legal to tax? Ooh, I think the IRS has a broader scope than the SEC, FinCEN, the Treasury Department. I mean, the IRS kind of has this blanket thing.
I am not even going to touch this one.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll touch it. All crypto is property and will be taxed as such until the Supreme Court or Congress or somebody changes it. That's how the IRS is going to deal with it. Unfortunately, because some of these assets are currencies and are meant to be used as currencies. And the tax laws in the United States are prohibitive to that. I.e., look at what happened with Ripple and XRP and all the things they were trying to do. You know, it's like, if I'm a business and I want to use XRP, I'm going to be facing a property tax liability, whether it's a gain or a loss on every single transaction just to do the money flows of my business. Screw it. I'm not, no way.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's where
Michelle,
the legacy and the regulatory bodies are they'll be catching up. They're just
right.
Unfortunately.
Well, last time I had you on the show, Michelle, and for those of you that didn't know, I've got a wonderful interview. It was a pre-recorded interview on my channel with Michelle when I was very new to the space and Michelle was just kicking butt at Uphold. It's in my interview series. It was one-on-one with Jerry Hall. And then she came on when I first launched this live stream. And I believe you were still at Uphold and you guys had just launched the anything new format, which threw me for a loop because I'm old and I don't like new things. I like to Uphold the way it was. It was fine. I knew how to use it. And here you guys rechange everything and I have to relearn everything. Back then, I didn't have what I have now on the show, Michelle, and that is I have a guest come on at the end of the show. Every show, she's a young lady from Seattle, a real go-getter little investor, just gobbling up and learning as much as she can. Her name is Bitta Avenue, and she's just popped into the studio, which means we're getting towards the last quarter of the show. I'd like to introduce you to Bitta. Bitta, say hello.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday.
Hi.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right. Very well. Getting there.
So,
how you doing, Jerry?
I've been good. Michelle, Bitta is a TaxBit client.
Yes.
And I think Bitta would have some great questions from her perspective for you as it pertains to her being a crypto investor, an FX trader, and a TaxBit client. Fire away, Bitta.
All right. Well, the I have very few questions today. But
Okay.
one of the main question is before, since you invest in crypto and now that you're with TaxBit, what are the things that you have learned that are new to you, that are very important, that you didn't know before you started with them, that pertains to
So,
taxes?
funny story about TaxBit is I was actually their first customer ever, ever. So when they were in pre-beta, I was their first customer. So I've known them since the beginning almost of TaxBit and have worked really close with them throughout the time while I was at Uphold. And really, that's why I'm just so excited to be here now, because I feel like I've been part of the journey for years and watched them grow this product and grow the team and grow everything. So I think what I am learning now is how complex the integrations they have and their offering is, and how much really goes into it. Obviously, I didn't think that it was some simple plug and play, but to really see the strategic roadmap that they've had, and they've really stuck to it, but where they're going and what's happening, but also being involved in the lobbying side of things to help move regulation along and all of that. They are really involved in big decisions and influencing big decisions, which is something I had no idea until I got here.
Okay. How about as far as like your investments are concerned? Have you picked up anything from there that helps you with your investment journey?
I probably use the tax optimizer a lot more, just because I'm now always thinking about gains or losses more than I thought about it before. Before, if the market was up or down, I would have just moved accordingly. But now it's always like, okay, wait, before I do anything, I want to go see what my liabilities are. So I think it's brought it more top of mind.
I have a quick question. Because it's related to that. So Michelle, have you found that people are starting to transition from thinking of taxes as something they do one time a year to now it's becoming part of kind of a behavior in things that they might do in July, August, September, November? I mean, this kind of 24/7 kind of thing.
That's my goal, is if I can help educate our community and the wider community to think of this year round, so you don't get a surprise when you've made something where you thought you made money on, and then at the end of the year you realize you didn't really make that much, or you ended up losing money because you owe money. So my goal near term is to help people understand that we empower you to really make strategic decisions based on the data from what we have. So it really is something that I think should be used before any trades are executed, frankly, because it takes 2 seconds and you're then empowered to make a decision based on the data.
That is great. Sorry, Bitta, go ahead, fire away.
No problem. The other question I have, I guess, is kind of like a side question that's not related to TaxBit, but more connected to BlockFi. Since you mentioned them, as far as like safety and how they're connected to, like, I guess with TaxBit, like, do you have any sort of not background, but like information as far as like for people to use like the platform, like how all that is connected?
Well, that's not something that I would share publicly because that's not really my realm, but you can check out the privacy policy for TaxBit on the website, and that will share just how we approach data and data privacy, which was something we take very seriously.
There you go.
You got an audience. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, she's adorable. I'm looking at the clock and we're winding down. I want to make sure anybody in the audience that has any any questions, make sure you get them fired off here real soon. Also, one of the things that I'm becoming painfully aware of, Michelle, is that the ability to move year to year, like this whole concept of being able to pull losses, because I had a few, trust me, in 2018, 2019, to pull losses forward, to me is not, it's not intuitive. That's not for whatever reason,
to carry
my brain,
it forward, it's weird, right? Yeah.
Right.
Here, I'm going to pack my bags and bring it.
Exactly. Can you spend just a second sharing with us how TaxBit addresses that and the value that it could bring to a TaxBit user? Because I've already done it. I'm a TaxBit client. That's how I found TaxBit. By the way, if you're not a TaxBit client, link in the description below. Go get your 14-day trial for free and check it out. But that pulling it forward thing, Michelle, can you walk us through a little bit of that? Because I bet a lot of people aren't hip to that.
So anyone also that tries out the trial can ask our chat and they can get, a little bit more information. So essentially what it is, if you have losses that you want to carry forward, losses meaning you're, possibly owed money versus owing money, and you don't want to use them for this year, you can carry them forward. So I had losses in 2019 that I carried forward that I'll use this year.
Yeah. Thank you. Charles has a quick one for you. Could you quickly go over TaxBit's products and services and the costs? Sure.
So there are 3 different tiers. There's the basic, the plus, and the pro. And they start out, entry level for basic is $50 a year. You get your tax forms once a year, but you also have access through the entire year to the platform to utilize for things like I said with the tax optimizer. You can look at all of your holdings across all of the different wallets that you have, etc. But it also just really gives you the peace of mind to know and track everything, so you're not having to track the cost base on the back of the envelope, if it were. Then you go up to the plus, which is $175. That gives you access to more tools and higher transactions. So it really tiers on how, if you have more than 250 transactions a year, you go up to the plus. That also gives you a little bit more access to subject matter experts and the CPAs if there are issues there. And then you go up to the pro, which is the white glove CPA. A lot of folks who use that are higher traders that have higher volume, or they've received the CP 2000 letter. So if you receive the CP 2000 letter and have an audit, that will carry prior years forward, help you really just have all your T's crossed and I's dotted.
Very important. Now, you left out the champagne and the caviar with the what does that top tier run as far as the subscription rate?
It's $500 a year.
There you go. Charles, I hope that answered your question. Tony's got another question. Michelle, do you guys have a headquarters, and where is it?
We do. It's in Utah.
I would not have guessed Utah. Wow. And that's where you're right on. So, Michelle, I see that you have your little one. I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to ask you, though, for one last final thought. Your final thoughts on the crypto space as a whole, and as we march closer to that ever dreadful April 15th tax due date, final thoughts from Michelle from TaxBit.
So, you know what the bummer about April 15th is? My birthday is the day before. So my entire life it's always been the day before tax day. What I think about crypto in general is it's really wonderful and exciting to see things going more mainstream. The adoption and support across the institutional money that's going to help regulation and things like that kind of push forward. But then also Visa, MasterCard, people that have legacy payment rails coming into play And that means that we're going to be able to access globally more strategically. So now it's kind of this disjointed process where we had to find out if someone accepted Bitcoin, and then what does that mean, and how do I spend it, and what does it work? Now it's all really coming forward faster. And I think the pandemic has made it evident that people want alternative stores of value that are non-government issued, and that's been wonderful for our industry.
Right on. Well, Michelle, you know I hold you in the highest regard. You as a human being, obviously your experience at TaxBit at Uphold helped me tremendously as I was getting started in this space. And knowing that you moved over to TaxBit, I was already with them, but you just like added a little cherry on top. So I'm really glad that you're doing well there. You deserve them, and they deserve you. Pura vida going forward, young lady. Good night, little princess.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
we
for
will
having
see.
me.
Right on. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
So, Bitta, while I invite Brady to come in for final thoughts, I wanted to get your spin on kind of like what you're looking at, because we're in February, right? February is almost over. April 15th is not that far away, yet you've been active beyond the crypto space. You got your Forex trading. You had a job. You had an income. You have all kinds of, expenses as a mom and child and credits and this, and then throw on crypto.
Right.
How were you looking at this going forward prior to April 15th, and having all this quote unquote tax stuff done and out of the way?
Oh my gosh. So it's a little complicated on my end because I have a lot of stuff going on at the same time. But the person that does my taxes is someone that I've known for a while, and they've been doing it for a few years. So I forward it to them and they figure it out. And I've actually went one season and try to learn a lot from them. And I realized that's just not my thing. It's just like, I'm not even going to try it because it's just not my thing. I know how to plug stuff in, but as far as the way their brain processes information, is just, my brain just does not process information that way. So I've decided I'm not even going to try it. Like, I will hand it to them. They've been wonderful to me. And that's who I go to every year. So as far as taxes is concerned, I have my friends they actually have a tax return business that they do, service that they do. So I just go straight to them. Makes it a lot easier. So.
Well, your TaxBit subscription's got to help this year, especially. You just press the print button. Your populated 1099 specifically for crypto, hand it to them. It's already done.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
I will see you backstage in just a couple of minutes.
All right.
Brady, producer extraordinaire, brother. Final thoughts on this extravaganza that we've had this week.
The week had me up, but now taxes have me down. But now TaxBit, it's like it's the new thing that is going to make, like Michelle was saying, make it it's like a good habit or something. We're going to be a lot more conscious about what the liabilities are and how we can limit them or get the best out of them, and chop it up however we need to actually profit from it, which even sounds weird to say, but that's what optimization is. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And it also reminds me I still have to do all that stuff. So that's kind of then where I'm like, oh crap. So that'll probably be what I do this weekend. I don't know. I got to get to it.
I'm telling you, for me, it was years and years. All I would ever want to do is procrastinate on my taxes. And I've used the same tax guy for 20 years, by the way. And what he clued into this really quick, my procrastination. And I was never difficult. I wasn't a difficult client. I just would procrastinate. And you know what he did? This is like 3 years into the game. He said to me, I'll tell you what, Jerry, If you come to me January 1st, I'll knock off $100.
Oh.
And that whatever, I don't know why, that $100 incentive, I would come to him, do my preliminary, and then by February I would have all my documents in that I just sent him. I didn't have to show up in his office, and he would just go da 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 da. He'd populate all the stuff, bing bang, done. So by March, I'm filed. I'm done. While everybody else is procrastinating, I'm done. I'm done. I'm like, let's move on. So, but I had to be pushed in that little incentive that he.
Interesting.
Yeah. Go and do everything on January 1st. Get all your get all the little forms and the little things people mail you by February, 18th, 19th. Generally, everything's in. And then boom, submit. If anything came in late, I'd have to tell him and he'd get mad because I was supposed to have my stuff together before the end of February. But anyway, yeah, that was my experience. And now with TaxBit, my guy wouldn't touch taxes. He wouldn't touch crypto. He wanted nothing to do with crypto. I don't want to learn it. I don't want nothing to do with it. I said, I'll press a button and send you a populated 1099 that will have everything you need. And he goes, all right. Last year he did it. No, he did it, and it was like, this is not a big deal. Thank you, Jerry.
Good. So that's what I have to look forward to.
For sure. All right, man. So your final thought was wonderful. Can you hang out in the green room? We'll have a little after show.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll see ya. So, folks, man, what a show tonight. What a week we've had. And I will tell you, as I have been in this market for a while and been in investing for a little longer than that. One of the things I've noticed, and I don't know how much of it is directly due to taxes, but it would seem like every single year around mid-March, as I get closer to April 15th, there's always some weirdness in the market. Markets have a tendency traditionally to sell off mid-March going into April. Now, as a hodler, that doesn't mean anything because you're going to hodl through it. But as somebody who's becoming a little bit more sophisticated and trying to sometimes take advantage of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% market stuff, if you understand that traditionally going into March, the markets sell off a little bit and they sell off into tax day and they come rebounding back because the sell-off didn't have anything to do with the fundamentals of the actual investments, then one could start to extrapolate, right, a behavioral economic model and say, if this is a trend and it's happened historically, then maybe if I'm a dollar cost averager, maybe starting in March, you don't invest in anything. You just stockpile the cash for an April purchase. Food for thought. This is not investment advice, but it's something that I'm going to try this year. I'm actually not going to dollar cost average in March. I'm going to accumulate USDC. So I'm going to get the money out of the fiat world and into the crypto world, but it's going to be considered dry powder to take advantage of what I think will be a trend that continues, and that is a market sell-off. Probably won't be a big market sell-off, 8, 9, 10, 12%. Heck, we just went through it this last week, right? If I can gain an extra 10, 12% on my favorite assets that I'm accumulating, trust me, I'm going to want to take advantage of it. Anyway, folks, for all of you that tuned in, thank you so very much. For all the patron members that have been coming into the stream, thank you so very much. And for all the new folks, thanks for tuning in. If you have questions and you're new to crypto and it's like taxes are the last thing you wanted to think about, leave your question. If I can't get to it, I know I will because I answer all my questions in the comments, we'll find somebody that will address your deal. This is an innovation unlike we've seen in many years. The last major innovation boom like this was the tech boom of the 90s. right, with the internet. Well, we're seeing it with the internet of value right now unfold before our eyes. We got many years to come. If you're new, you're not late. If you've been here a while, you're early, and guess what? You're still early. It's a heck of a journey. It's a heck of a ride. I'm having a good time, and I hope that you are too. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Be safe. And until next time, Pura Vida.